Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks.
Well,
Perfection.
perfection is a work in progress.
Very good. I'm your host, Sam. Alongside me, as always, back from the beyond, the host, Tarek. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. Sorry about the absences. Got a son in basketball. So luckily we were able to move to another night, but last week of practice for the holiday. So we'll be back for our regular scheduled program for the rest of the football season. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Making it through the day. Of course, we have football, Jesus. How is your congregation this evening?
And the congregation feels good. They feel invigorated. They feel like a winner, and winners sometimes follow. So, feeling great, buddy.
Okay. Good. Glad to hear it. Of course, we have the QB coach, Jess. How you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. I'm working out of a house that's in shambles right now, but you know what? It's looking better than it was, I guess so.
Yeah, your house looks all blurry and messed up.
Yeah, that's what
There you
the contractors did. They made it blurry in here. I said, take what's there and make it blurry.
All right.
They
You
understand.
know what? That the abstract look is so in right now.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I have my insider right here who has walked away to get pillows.
Oh, that's
How
smart.
you doing tonight, bud?
Well, my head is tired, but my rest of my body is okay.
I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. You sleep well then. All right. So, interesting week. I think a lot of things went the way we thought they were going to this week. However, there were a couple of injuries and
Oh,
a couple
yeah.
of quarterback shuffles. Quite frankly, I'm wondering what the heck the Jets are doing. What is going on with that franchise? What is going on with Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers and whoever they have as a third string quarterback? What the heck's going on?
Well, I was shocked to find out today that they are going to start Zach Wilson after him being benched, 3 weeks ago for his horrendous play. He's been consistently playing poorly, and they have other options that they should potentially go with. I know that he is that he's the guy that they were initially going to go with, and then they obviously got Aaron Rodgers, which didn't work out, right? So they had hoped that Aaron Rodgers would be enough of a mentor. And we're 13 weeks into the season. He's been enough of a mentor for him. He's passing on the knowledge, and he's still having a difficult time. So at this point, Zach Wilson's been around for he's been the starter for 2 years now?
I think it's 3 years.
3? Starter the whole time?
I think he was in and out because they had Joe Flacco for a little bit and all that.
At least he's had 2.5 or more, right?
Yeah.
And he's severely struggling. So in my perspective, they are going the wrong route by still going down that path when they have other options that they could try.
I'm going to agree with Jess, but for a different reason. I think they're going down the wrong route because I am a firm believer that you can't learn by sitting on the sidelines. I understand he's had years of a couple years to be out there and try and figure some things out. But this is the first time in his career that he has had a legitimate, successful quarterback. Joe Flacco is successful, but not to the individual level of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers unfortunately got hurt. But the things that Aaron Rodgers is teaching him, you won't know if he's able to apply them in a game sense unless he's under center. Now, I understand the numbers aren't there, the offense isn't clicking, what have you. But as Jess and a couple of us have alluded to, their offensive line is bad.
Yeah.
And any quarterback back there is going to have a bad time at this point. And I feel bad for Zach Wilson because he was drafted and put into a system that doesn't really let him use his skill set, which is using his legs.
Obviously, he's French frying when he's supposed to be pizzaing.
Exactly.
Having a bad time.
You're going to have a bad time. But I think the Jets are going about this the wrong way. I think they should have stuck with Zach Wilson because let's say, oh God, they lose out in the playoffs. They just get they still have their first round pick because the trade they made with the Green Bay Packers, they only give up their first round pick based on percentages of snaps that Rodgers played. So they're doing a bad job.
There's really nothing I can add. That, as I said, I agree with both our co-hosts here. I think it's a bad call. Well, we've seen it before. I've seen both ends where we see like someone get thrown directly into the NFL and go under center and can't do anything. And we've seen it where they can't do anything after they sat and watched a QB for years. Rodgers did okay after Favre, but for every Aaron Rodgers, you get a Ryan Leaf. So he's got to learn how to correct the system. So I don't fully know here, but I think they made a bad call. I agree with Brady and Jess here.
Quite frankly, I'm thinking the reason they're throwing Zach Wilson in is because they know they're not going to keep him. So, and with the horrendous state of their offensive line, they're looking to just throw him in there so that their other backup quarterback that they're probably going to hang on to for the next year or two, couple years, doesn't get destroyed back there. So he's got some experience, so they know he can do the job. He's just not good at it. At least I think that's their mindset going into it. They just don't want to get anybody else hurt, and he's expendable. So, but who knows? Nobody knows the mindset of the owners or the coaches. Anyway, let's get into a different mindset. Let's check out our standings after 13 weeks of football. Brady still in first. Pretty good week, 10-3. Yeah. Three-way tie for second.
Oh,
A lot
wow.
of pressure. A lot of pressure. Everyone's nipping at the heels of football. Jesus, I got to hold the mountaintop against the incursion.
Listen, Jesus was supposedly humble. So,
See, that's why I'm football Jesus, not just Jesus.
okay. Yeah,
He's not
just the
humble,
hair.
he's
That's the
humble.
only resemblance. Got
Yeah,
it.
hair and beard.
Yeah, he's not
Okay.
humble. He fumbles. So,
Yeah.
and I'm just waiting for him to fumble, and I can catch up. So,
Yeah, you had to have an 11-2, and I'm sorry I missed last week when me and Brady had such a good time and took over the lead. And
Yeah, Sam,
now Sam caught back up, and I'm going to end up in last again.
Sam, you almost got a perfect week.
I know if Kansas City and Jacksonville would have won, I would have had a perfect week. It was that close.
Mhm.
Of course, there were games that could have went the other way. Houston game, of course, Houston Broncos game, that could have went the other way, but it didn't.
I feel like that's every week. Every week it's like this weird last minute or last second field goal where it could have gone either way. So no matter what you're picking, it's not a bad pick. It's not like you were, that outrageous or generally, obviously nobody's going off the wall here, but like the games that are ending in these last second field goals are insane every week.
It's a lot of
Even
parity.
Even the ones that we don't expect.
Awful lot of parity this year. It's just the way it's been this year. I mean, all those quarterbacks injured. I mean, anything can happen. So I think there's like 10 backup quarterbacks starting this week. It's just nuts.
Can't wait.
Speaking of backup quarterbacks, let's get into our games of the week. We're going to start with football. Jesus, give us that gospel.
Well, it's funny you mentioned backup quarterbacks because there's a potential for not only the one, but a second one playing this game. So I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Cleveland Browns. So this one has a lot of playoff implications here because as we all know, Trevor Lawrence is dealing with a high ankle sprain, which his status for this week is still up in the air. Meanwhile, Cleveland is on their fourth quarterback of this season in Joe Flacco, who had a pretty decent game last week, minus the typical Joe Flacco lollipop interception that he threw. He had a pretty good game, I will admit. But what is so interesting to me in this game is I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars can afford to not have Trevor Lawrence in this game, no matter what capacity he is at. Because if they lose this game and the Houston Texans beat the New York Jets like they should, there will now be a tie for first place in that division between two teams who we have much maligned watching their games in this program. So what sticks out to me about actually being on the field here? Travis Etienne has been dealing with an injury, and Jacksonville's run game has suffered due to it. Cleveland's defense still playing really solid, even with a banged-up Myles Garrett and numerous other guys filling in. The defense is holding solid. Jacksonville's defense got run over by a backup quarterback last week. So this is one of those games where I could see anything happening to where Joe Flacco could put up 450 yards and 4 touchdowns and blow out the Jacksonville Jaguars, or this could be another one of those games where it's ground and pound. So I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars because I feel like they need this game just a little bit more to keep ahead of the Houston Texans in the standings. But this game is a complete coin flip no matter which way I look at it.
So here's my take on it. I'm actually picking the Cleveland Browns here, and it's not because they have any sort of leg up on the offense. I feel like they're both equally matched as far as having backup quarterbacks in, having a decent run game, decent enough offensive line to get that run game going. So it's really going to come down to the defenses for me. And at this point, Cleveland's defense is going to be healthy enough to be better than Jacksonville's defense. So I think that Flacco is going to look a little bit more comfortable. I don't think he's going to do anything miraculous, but he's going to look like a seasoned quarterback, right? And they're going to keep him conservative if they are smart. I do think that they will try to wow the crowd a little bit once or twice because he does have a good arm, not necessarily the most accurate in the league, right? But I think that they'll try to air it out once or twice. But outside of that, they're going to stick to the run game mostly. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I do think Cleveland's going to take it by 3, and it's going to come down to the defense.
All right, so I'm not picking points because I suck at that. But my major take on this one, as Brady said and just alluded to, is the backup QB situation. That's what I'm looking at this with my pick. So you got Trevor Lawrence out. And without Trevor Lawrence, I don't think, and with their running back, as Brady said, is hurt. It's just not. I don't think they have enough. I think they need it more. I think they want it more than the Cleveland Browns. But if you're looking at QB versus QB, it's Joe Flacco who has won a Super Bowl against this backup QB. I looked it up because I have no idea who it is, and I still don't know.
CJ Beathard.
No idea.
He was on the 49ers a year or two ago.
Okay, well,
times.
Yeah, so I don't know all the people who are starting, so I definitely don't know all the people who are backups. But I'm looking at that, and who's leading the cavalry? It's who's leading the charge here, and I agree with Jess that I don't think Joe Flacco is going to do anything miraculous, but he's going to be more comfortable. He knows what to do, whereas this CJ Beathard, who knows what he knows. But I'm going to put more money and faith in the guy who's made multiple playoff appearances and Super Bowls. So I'm going with the Cleveland Browns.
All right. Hey, who did you pick in this one, my little insider?
I picked the Jaguars.
He did pick the Jaguars.
They're not a bird.
Because they got more points than Brown.
They do have more wins than the Browns. And your record is a reflection of who you are, according to most coaches. Anyway, quite frankly, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are in deep trouble because not only is Trevor Lawrence out, but Christian Kirk just had surgery done on his core muscles. They thought it was a testicular torsion. It is not. They're sending him in for surgery on his core muscles, which is not pleasant. So he's going to be out for a while. I don't think that they have enough offensive firepower with C.J. Beathard at quarterback to overcome that Cleveland defense. That defense is going to be all over Beathard, all over Etienne, because they know Beathard ain't going to be able to throw the ball very well. So look for the Browns to hold this one to a low-scoring game, but for them to run away with it towards the end. All right, let's get to our next game of the week. And Jessica, what do you have drawn up this week?
You don't look excited, Jess.
So because I wasn't sure if I was going or Sam was going, and if so, which one I was going with here. But okay. I'm assuming we stuck with the Indy at Cincinnati for me, or did you do? Okay, so realistically, I would have chosen the Philly-Dallas game. However, I left that for Sam, which he did not take. So this is an interesting game because the Bengals are starting to really pick up some momentum here, I guess, even though Browning has been the starting quarterback because of Burrow being hurt. That is the near future, and I guess the rest of the season. That's how it's going to be with all of these quarterbacks being hurt this season. Maybe we should get rid of Thursday night football. I don't know. But it looks like Jamar Chase is getting more targets, more yards. So whoever has him on their fantasy team is actually starting to make out at this point. Joe Mixon is also doing pretty well. He's so far gotten to he's averaging 39 touches per game. But at this point, they're picking up momentum, which is what I like to see. I think the Indianapolis Colts may be trending in the other direction. I think they get a little bit lucky with Minshew. He has his moments, which he always has. Everybody loves that spark of passion with him, but it's not something that's
magic.
consistent. Yeah, right. But that stuff dies quickly. So
don't kill the
Taylor
magic.
has run for 414 yards. And as far as the matchup goes, the numbers are a bit skewed in every aspect. The Indianapolis Colts are barely above what the Bengals have been. So as far as like average points scored and rushing yards and passing yards, they do make out better than the Bengals. But at this point, when the Bengals are just now hitting their stride, and I feel like the only way that they're going to trend is up, I'm actually going with the Bengals here. I think it's going to be a close game, and I don't think it's going to be pretty. I don't think that Browning's going to do what he did last week and look like any kind of star, but they're going to play conservative enough that it's going to be – they're going to win. They're going to win by 3 points. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals.
Again, here we are looking at another game where two backup quarterbacks on the stat sheet are playing. And, Jess alluded to momentum, but I think something that isn't really being discussed is the Colts are on a 4-game winning streak. Now, granted, last week was a bit of a wild one against the Tennessee Titans where, they took it to overtime and barely won, but the Colts are stringing together wins, and they are another team in their division with Jacksonville and Houston that is 1 game out of first place. So they're doing what it takes to win. Meanwhile, Jake Browning, he played amazing last week. There's no doubt in my mind, but statistics show that his first 2 games were below average. That, to me, sticks out like an anomaly. So I'm going with the Colts in this one. I'm going to ride the hot hand just because of that 4-game win streak. And I think that game last week from Jake Browning was a mere fluke.
All right, so we do have the win streak, but as we know from the Denver Broncos last week, the win streak can break. I'm going with the Colts on this one. I think they just – I agree it's not going to be pretty. I think this is going to be a rough-fought game. I think every single point on both sides of the ball is just going to be earned through blood, sweat, and tears. Cincinnati Bengals always, no matter – they're one of those teams that no matter who they play, they give a hard time, whether it's someone who's 0-10 or 14-0 and 0. So I think it's going to be hard fought, and the Colts, they want this. The record doesn't fully show it, but I feel like aside from they're trying to fine tune, they're trying to get back to where they were with this when they had this other quarterback, Schmaten Fanning, something like that. They're trying. I don't think they're quite there yet, but I think they're going to win. But they're going to win. It's going to be eked out. This is going to be hard fought. Everyone's going to be exhausted at the end of this.
Hey, who did you pick in this game?
I picked the horseshoe one.
You picked the Colts?
Ooh, same.
Well, I got to agree with him. I think Jake Browning is a little overdone. He's a little overcooked. So, quite frankly, Minshew Magic has been great. They've had injuries to the running back. Jonathan Taylor is still out with the thumb, but they have Zach Moss in the wings, who's a good running back. So he's been able to help manage that team as far as picking up the slack while he's out. Minshew he's got a lot of experience. He's played in some big games, and quite frankly, I think he's going to lead this team to a possible division win, possible division title. Quite frankly, I think Week 18, the Colts versus the Houston Texans might be the decider, might be the person who wins that division. So
we very well could see a 3-way tie for that division after this week.
We could, and I think it's going to happen. I think the Colts win this one. I think Jake Browning struggles, and I think that the Colts put up a decent number. This one isn't as close as their last few have been. So, all right, let's get on to our next game of the week. We have my little insider. What is your game of the week, buddy?
Well, mine is the Rams versus the Ravens. I know that the Ravens is a legendary. It is.
Mhm.
Because that bird right on the left case is the Ram.
Yeah. So
That's getting loose by the Ravens.
You're gonna get beat by the Ravens, right?
Yep.
That's right. I like it.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, you're not done. Go on.
Whoa. Command your audience, Sammy. You go ahead.
That's right.
Because the Rams have been really relieving. It's not winning
They're not
after
winning.
all.
Mm.
That's why I picked the Raven.
That's why you picked the Ravens.
Good choice.
The legendary birds.
I choose you, Raven Chew.
I agree with Sammy. I mean, this game, based on the weather, it is going to be wet. It is going to be unseasonably warm. And the Ravens are more of a complete team, I think, than the Los Angeles Rams. Kyron Williams for the Rams, has been playing amazing since returning from IR. But the teams that he's played against, their run defenses aren't exactly all that great. And the Ravens are one of the better run defenses in the league. So I expect this to be a game where there's minimal passing attempts due to the heavy rains that are expected. So I'm going with the Ravens. I'm going to say by 6 because I feel like this is going to be one of those games that it's going to be sloppy. There's going to be ball control issues for both teams. So we'll see, but I have the Ravens in this one.
I'm hoping there's no ball control issues for our side, but I am also taking the Ravens. One of the fun things to note is that actually OBJ, even though he's like barely scored any touchdowns, will be named as a captain in this game against his former team, obviously where he got injured during the Super Bowl. But, the Ravens are much more of a complete team, and the Los Angeles Rams, they just beat a really banged up, injury-laden Cleveland Browns. So absolutely taking the Ravens here by 7.
Yeah, this is interesting. The Rams are on a win streak. Stafford's he's staying clean, but the Ravens coming off a bye week. They finally got a late rest. They're finally coming in. Hopefully, they're healthy, because usually every year the Ravens are laden with injuries. But this should be. I think this is just gonna be fun. I love when we get this late in the year and we start getting into playoffs and we start getting weather. I like weather games. It just makes it interesting. See the mud bowls, see the snow bowls. I like seeing it, and I hope it's just a muddy affair and just slipping and sliding. And but I got the Ravens coming out with this one. I think they're going to break that win streak for the Rams. They're rested, they're ready to go, and I think they're going to hit their stride right here at the end of the season.
I don't think there's really much more to be said. I think the Ravens win this one. I think they win it going away. The Rams cannot keep up with this running team, with the quarterback who runs, the running backs who break the long runs. I don't think the Rams are going to keep up. I think it's going to be a blowout. Baltimore's going to win this one big. So, all right, let's get to our last game of the week. My host Tarek, how you doing? What you got?
Best for last. Let's go. No, this is not going to be the best game of the week by any stretch of the imagination. This is the Broncos and the Chargers division game for the AFC West. Talking with this with Brady at work today. I think this is interesting just because, to me, it's a division game and it's kind of make or break. I think as I said before, the Broncos, they broke their win streak. They didn't look terrible. It was just a couple of bad calls that just didn't go in their favor. Russell Wilson tried to Russell Wilson like he did when he was on the Seahawks, and he can't do it. They need to stay in their lane. They need to stay contained. Chargers, you got Justin Herbert. I'm going with Denver on this one. kind of out of a hope. And it's like, this is going to, like I said, this is going to be a make or break. If they don't do it, I think it's going to be close. Then we'll see what methodology Sean Payton uses to coach this team after the loss last week. Hopefully they saw what they need to see and they can course correct here. Like I said, I'm going with Denver, but I don't think it's going to be by much. And if pretty much, I think if they lose Sunday, there's, I mean, aside from the fact they'll be losing, they're 500 right now. But I think I don't think they're going to be able to recover for the rest of the year. So this is make or break for Denver.
So I'm actually picking Denver here. I know they're not favored, and I never pick Denver, but I do think that in general the Chargers are a better team. But as of late, or the Chargers should be a better team on paper, they should be. There is some kind of disconnect going on in that offense and obviously the defense has been questioned the entire season. But the offense has always kept them afloat. And at this point, there seems to be a ton of disconnect on the offense. They scored 2 field goals last week against the New England Patriots. I am severely worried about them scoring a ton of points in this game. And honestly, I was shocked at how well Russell Wilson and the offense on Denver did and is starting to do. They're not like amazing, but they've come a really far way. So, I'm actually taking – I don't think this is going to be like the game to watch by any stretch, but I am taking Denver in this game, and it's shocking. We'll see.
Well, let's call it 3 for 3. I'm picking Denver. As Tarek alluded to, we discussed whether we should be starting Austin Eckler in our respective fantasy leagues because, according to numbers, Denver is 32nd against the run. But then we both kind of came to the realization those numbers are probably skewed because of the Miami game. So when you go back and you look at the numbers game by game, Denver's defense has stepped up in the past 6 weeks and has really hammered down and played extremely well. And as I've said multiple times, Justin Herbert is just overpaid Jimmy Garoppolo. And for whatever reason, that offense just cannot put it together the way that they should, considering you're spending $70 million for 3 of the players on the offense, and they put up 6 points against a 2-9 team at the time. So I'm going with Denver. I think this is going to be a very, as Tarek alluded to, like a make or break game, not just for postseason hopes, but for coaching opportunities, because I do think that at the end of the year, the Chargers are going to have a head coaching vacancy. And honestly, I mean, you gave up so much for Sean Payton, but if they can't at least finish at 500 or above, that might be a question on some people's minds.
Who would you pick in this game? Chargers or the Broncos?
I picked the Broncos.
He picked the Broncos, I think. I'm going to go the opposite direction here. I think the Chargers, even though they got the win last week, got embarrassed. I mean, they scored 6 points and won against a horrid offense and a pretty good defense, I guess, up in New England. The Broncos, they got smacked in the face last week. It came down to the last play, and they lost to the Houston Texans, a surprise team this year. The Broncos had a 4-game winning streak, 5-game winning streak?
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah.
5.
And quite frankly, I think that was a misnomer. I think more it was just the cards fell their way. I don't like this team. I don't think they're very good. I think that they're going to struggle in this game. And I know the Chargers always kind of throw the game towards the end of the game. But I think the Chargers actually get a win here because they've got to get themselves back into playoff contention. If they win, they'll be a couple games out of the playoff spot. And I think that they can make a run towards the playoffs if they get this one. I got the Chargers, and I might be the only one, but I'm okay with it.
All I heard from that was you dissing Tarek's team, and that's all I heard.
Oh, absolutely.
You're supposed to be my best friend, man. You're supposed to be my best friend.
Nay. Anyway, all right, let's get to our Pop Panel Pick'ems.
Brought to you by our Concept Inc.
Very good. More than just a sign shop. catch them up in Westminster. They have finished with their installs, and you can contact them for all of your decal and sign needs. All right, let's take a look at this. There is only one person that picked the Bengals, and it's this little guy right here. But he thinks they're going to win. We've already discussed that.
Captain Jess pick swapper over there. But can we just talk about the awful slate of Thursday night football games?
First of all, I changed that pick hours ago.
Well, when I was putting it in, it was still the Colts. So.
Clearly, it was too early. And maybe that's not even true because there's been times where you've claimed I've picked things that I did not pick.
Either way, we know that you're picking the incorrect team. It's fine. But the Patriots against the Steelers on Thursday night football, and you couldn't do a thing to just say we're not going to do Thursday night football this year or this week. Come on, guys.
Aren't there flex games? We're in December. Isn't it time for flex games?
Yeah, they're starting to flex some games.
So flex someone else.
Not this
week. They're going to flex me into an early bed time tomorrow.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next set. And 2 people picked the Jaguars. The rest of us picked the Browns. We've already discussed this one. Everything else seems to be the same.
Not much really to say other than,
nobody believes the Carolina
Panthers
will beat Jameis Winston.
I called Hayden Hurst an average player. He was diagnosed with post-traumatic amnesia today. I do apologize for those comments, and I hope he recovers soon.
Well, he won't remember anyway. He's got amnesia.
So, I have the Browns, but it's fine.
I'm pretty sure that when I put it in, you have the Jaguars. If you changed it, you changed it. I didn't.
Hours.
Yeah, I put it in earlier today.
I originally made my picks last week for this week, just in case I forgot. And then obviously, what's his face got hurt. Oh, God, I cannot even think of his name right now.
Lawrence.
So are you saying you don't make last minute picks, Jess? Is that what you're saying?
I will absolutely change my picks until the minute before the game,
Yes,
if needed.
So it's all subject to availability. All right, let's get to the next set. Jessica is the only one currently. When I put it in, she was the only one who picked the Raiders.
That's still the case.
It's still the Raiders. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Also that one is contingent on Justin Jefferson, which is
messed up Sammy's pick too.
No, he picked his in front of me. He picked the Chargers. I think he just forgot.
The only real game other that I feel like bars discussion is the Buffalo KC game. Both teams are not playing up to their caliber of football this year, so
I think
that'll be a good one to watch.
I think Buffalo just needs it more.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's why I'm back and forth on it. They're more desperate for it because it means more for them, and that can drive the win, but they just do not look like they're even in the same game as Kansas City should be. Same level.
I don't know. All right, let's get to the last set of games. Only one of us picked the Eagles, but I'm surprised it was only one of us.
So that's mainly because they're getting their tight end back, and other than that, they're generally pretty equally matched. The Eagles worry me because they usually have to do a comeback game, and I feel like with the Dallas Cowboys, they could get really far behind in that. They're really good. It's a really good matchup. They know how to play each other, divisional rival, all that stuff. But the Eagles are getting an additional weapon back this week in their tight end. So
I think the Cowboys. I picked the Cowboys because they're at home this week. If they played each other the last time and the Cowboys were home, I'd have picked them then. But I picked the Eagles last time. I think the Cowboys win it simply because they're home team. They have just that slight edge.
I also think the Cowboys need it more. So there is that factor.
They definitely do.
Even if Philly's getting Dallas Goedert back, I mean, he had a fractured forearm. I can't imagine he's going to be 100%, even though he does give them an extra weapon. But again, riding the hot hand here, that's Dallas. Philly looked not like the world beaters against the 49ers last week. So we'll see. But I do think that playing in, was it AT&T Coliseum or whatever it is a big boon for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's definitely AT&T something. I don't know.
AT&T sucks. Oh.
Seconded.
I like AT&T.
Yeah, well, both Brady and I used to work for AT&T.
Well, their cell service is.
We're watching. They don't-
Verizon.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us every week. Thank you for any technical struggles or anything we had as we're trying something new for this week. Let us know in the comments you like the new format. Let us know if our videos are a little bigger, easier to see. Please leave a comment. Let you know who you picked, what you think we got wrong. Brady's mom, comment how to cut Brady's hair. Click like, click subscribe so you see our videos. We're coming up to a close here, guys. We only got a few weeks left to the playoffs. We don't know what schedule we're doing yet. Just there she is.
She's back.
And don't forget
What
that.
happened?
All right, click subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. As always, I'm Tarek.
I'm Sam.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Football Jesus.
And I'm Sam. And you have a great football week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.